Hey there, my name's Trevor Turnbull, the CEO of LinkedIn to Leads and the founder of the Expert Selling Machine. And I created this solo funnel because of my own personal experience as an entrepreneur for the last 15 years, and specifically as what I call a solopreneur. Now, this isn't a new term. You probably know what I mean when I say that. You're a one-man or a one-woman show. Typically, what I find with solopreneurs, and this was my case as well, is that you struggle in one of three areas, or all of the above, which is tech. So struggling with the technology, there's so many different tools out there that you could and should be using, but which ones do you choose? How do you implement them? How do you make sure that you're not wasting your money? And really just making the best decisions going forward. Time is another one. So where is your time best served? What should you actually be focusing on? So as it relates to the technology, like should you be doing some of the work or should you have somebody else do it? And that leads me to the third one, which is team. Right? So you as a solopreneur, you can only wear so many hats. You can't do the sales and the marketing and the operations and the technology and the everything in your business. Otherwise, you'll go a little bit crazy, right? You need to leverage software. You need to leverage outsourced help. You even need to leverage agency services or consultant services at times where your skills might not be at the level that they need to be, and you just need to have somebody else do it for you. So this funnel was created for specifically the solopreneur. And why I did this again was to give you a really clear picture as to how you can leverage LinkedIn in particular, the missing link as we call it, to use that as your primary lead source. Because if you are selling business to business and you're selling services, typically higher ticket services, this is where this makes the most sense. This is exactly what you need to do. Now, I'm going to run through this exact document with you. You can see it here on the screen right now. And just know that, yes, I realize there's a lot going on here, but I'm going to break it down step by step for you, defining the 3 C's that we talk about, okay? So let's start at the top first of all. So as you can see, we've got step number 1 is clarify. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, LinkedIn, of course, is a massive database of professionals that pre-populate their profiles with the information that you need to go and find your ideal target client. So within Sales Navigator in particular, you get access to a ton of different search filters, as well as a Boolean search filter within the search bar that you see in LinkedIn that will really allow you to narrow down to that perfect client. Now, this is a mistake that I commonly see solopreneurs in particular make, is that if you're a marketing coach or a business coach or you're a speaker or a consultant or whatever it might be, you may be able to help all kinds of people. You might have a very broad target audience. But what I want to encourage you to do is pick one, whether it be based on location, whether it be based on industry type, whether it be based on roles. You can see there's a whole bunch of different things that are defined here: school, industry, title, seniority, company, function, geography, keywords, relationship, of course, right? Because the more narrow you can get and the more you can make your profile very specific to the pain points that your specific audience has, the more relatable it is to them, right? So you want your profile to really define who do you help, who do you serve rather, how do you serve them, why should they trust you, so what kind of credibility do you have, do you have recommendations, all that kind of stuff, and then how can they find out more? And that leads me, of course, to the second section. So, first of all, one of the things I want to address here too is that, yes, I talk about Sales Navigator. LinkedIn is definitely the type of platform that will give you a little bit of a teaser to see who your potential audience is, allow you to view profiles, do all the functionality that LinkedIn allows. But if you want to be very proactively using LinkedIn as an outbound lead source, you're going to have to upgrade to Sales Navigator. There's just no way around it. It's a pay-to-play platform. If you want to do the amount of activity on a daily basis where you can really see some traction with the systems and the process that we teach, you're going to need to get it. Now, they offer a 30-day free trial, which is great. You just have to know how to use it properly. So that leads me to the second step here, which is all about connect. Okay, so you can see on here that we have 2 different things defined, one on the left and one on the right. One is called authority campaigns and the other one's called authority elements. So let me address that first, and then we'll talk about the message sequencing that we do with our students inside of our mentoring program, as well as with our clients when we work with them in a more agency type style. So first of all, the authority campaigns. Now you'll see here that I have 6 listed out. Now there's lots of different types of campaigns, of course, that you can create, but these are kind of the 6 most prominent ones that you want to consider as an expert, solopreneur, consultant, coach, or a speaker. And they really are in priority sequence based on the fact that the top one is the easiest one to do, as well as the most important first step that you need to take. Now, again, another common mistake that I see solopreneurs make is that they get caught up in the whole world of internet marketing and attending webinars, about learning how to produce webinars or how to produce live events or even how to write a book, in a weekend, in a week, whatever it happens to be, #1 bestseller, all that kind of stuff. And these are all great. You want to aspire to these things, absolutely. But most of the solopreneurs that we talk to are not quite ready for that. They need to start with an appointment funnel, an appointment campaign rather, and then perhaps a guide / report / white paper / whatever you want to call it, just something that's in written format. Again, another campaign, and then of course value videos. So if you think about the pain points of your audience, what are the most glaring things that they struggle with? Those are all opportunities to create content, and video is a great format to do that in. It's the most media rich. You can pare it down into audio recordings. You can turn that into a podcast. You can turn that into a report. You can turn it into articles. There's all these different things. But if you start from the top and work your way down, we're talking about complexity on each one of these. Now, you'll notice on this graphic that I have links here to go and view examples of these. So, you're going to see a link around this video to go and get a copy of this. But please do click on those. Go see the examples, see exactly how they work, okay? Now, on the right side here, we talk about authority elements. Now, these are just elements that you would or could add to those pages. So a calendar, you can embed a calendar right onto your appointment page, for example. And there's lots of great tools out there, and I'll talk about some of the tools that we recommend our students use as well as we use ourselves. Photos, of course, right? If you're going to be driving traffic to a page where you're requesting a discovery call, or you're giving away a guide or a report, you want it to be branded to you, so you want to use a photo. Videos, again, another great thing. If you're going to drive traffic to a page and have somebody connect with you and you connect with them, video is a great way to do that. Welcome them to the page, tell them what you're going to discuss on your discovery call. Of course, we work with our students to define exactly what that script looks like, because there is a very strategic way to go about doing discovery calls, especially if you're selling something a little higher ticket, over $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, that type of thing. Testimonials, of course, if you have those, absolutely put them on your pages. Media mentions, if you have any kind of published content in media publications, Entrepreneur, Forbes, Business Insider, Money, local newspapers, national newspapers, popular blogs, whatever it is, you're going to want to put those in there as well. And then, of course, the last one that I mentioned is application, because, of course, this is another great way to be able to collect information. So, we have a process, a methodology that we call the MVP method. And in one of those steps, it's all about selling value, which means that you're exchanging value in the form of valuable insights and content. And of course, your potential clients are sharing insights in the form of giving you their time, providing you with data, providing you with experience and background on what their biggest challenges are so that you can solve those pain points. So if you can ask the right questions before you get on a call, for example, an application / questionnaire is a great way to do that. It's a great way to frame it as well, to say that let's make sure we spend this time most effectively and efficiently. So those are the elements that you could use on any one of these authority campaigns. And again, go and click on those view links to go and check out examples. Now let's focus in on the middle part here now. What I'm referring to here is the sequencing of what we do in doing active outreach on LinkedIn. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side, we've got quick wins, and on the right side, we've got steady leads. Let's focus on quick wins firstly. So quick wins is just referring to the fact that it's likely you probably already have a first degree network that has prospects in it, right? Or potential prospects or referral partners, whatever it might be. But most people are guilty of never staying in touch with those people. Either they connect with them and then never follow up because they don't know what to say, they don't want to be spammy, salesy, sleazy, all that. So what can you do? Well, of course, you want to just start that process of reconnecting. Think of your first degree network like an email list, okay? With an email list, you wouldn't just collect emails and let them sit there and not say anything to them, not provide value, not ask questions, all the things that you could do. You want to leverage LinkedIn in the same way. Think of it as your own personal email list, okay? So the reconnect message, of course, would just be very simple. Hey, I'm using LinkedIn to proactively stay in touch with my network. I took a close look at your profile. Looks like you're up to some amazing things. Would love to hear more about what's going on for you, what's highest priority. If you see anything on my profile that's of interest, feel free to reach out. That's it. Like, you don't need a straight up call to action, nothing. You're literally letting your profile do the speaking, and all you're doing is reconnecting with that audience. Now, from there, we've got value and survey, right? So these can be interchanged, of course, too. It depends on what you're selling and the approach that you want to take, how, quote unquote, aggressive you want to be in your outreach strategy. We always suggest that you focus on collecting information and engaging in conversation, finding out challenges and pain points so that you can provide solutions, as opposed to just going straight to, hey, why don't you go and check out my free report? That can be a little bit intrusive, right? But there's a time and place for all of these things. So I just mentioned those are the typical sequences that we do. We'll do the reconnect message, a value message, and or a survey message. Now, the survey message is very, very effective because we find that if you do a follow-up and say, hey, I work with a lot of people that are very similar to you, they're leaders in their space in the X industry, and these are some of the typical challenges that they tell us that they're facing. And then you might list 1, 2, or 3, or just one, whatever it is, and get some feedback and say, does this resonate with you? Are you having the same challenges? Now, another, thing that you might do here is let them know that you're collecting information for the sake of being able to create content. So you might tell them, hey, you know what? I'm going to be publishing an article that's going to be compiling all the results and the feedback that I get, and I'd love to be able to include your answer in that publication, in that article that I'm going to produce. So again, it's another easy way to add value, to ask questions. Yes, you're asking something of them, but you're not pushing something down their throats, right? So, like I say, you can interchange those two, but typically survey is probably the best way to start, and then straight to a content piece, whether it be an article or, your guide/report or your value videos or whatever it might be. And on the on the right-hand side here, we've got steady leads. Now, these are referring to people that you're not yet connected to, second and third degree contacts, okay? So as you're defining that target audience that we talked about at the top with the Advanced Search and Sales Navigator, your first step with those people is to get connected, okay? You want to get connected first because, again, unless you're connected, you don't have the ability to message those people for free, essentially, right? You have to pay for it through InMails, which is part of the premium service. Now, InMails are great. You get like 15, I believe, when you first start. It kind of varies depending on the type of account you get. But they're like sending cold emails. They're like doing cold calls. You're not going to expect a really high response rate when it comes to sending InMails and going straight for an ask or going straight for a, hey, go download my free thing. So you want to start simple. Use a permission-based messaging strategy which says, would you be open to connecting with me? And you want to give some context, of course. Hey, we're both in the same city. We're both in the same industry. I work with a lot of clients just like you. We may be able to add value to each other's lives, whatever that starting point is. But would you be open to connecting with me? Puts the onus on them to decide whether or not they're going to connect with you. So you want to grow your network of targeted prospects. That's step number one. Don't forget that one. Secondly is just what we simply call a handshake. So if you think about this in the real world, when you go to a networking event and you meet somebody for the first time or you connect, you don't go in there just pitching. You're literally just shaking their hand and saying, hey, great to connect with you. If there's anything I can ever do to help you, please let me know. That's it. You're doing that typically within 24 hours of receiving somebody's accepting your connection request. It's just a step between the next part, which again is very similar to the other side here under Quick Wins, which is talking about surveying that audience, collecting information, ideally even creating a piece of content around the feedback you're getting, and then providing that to them in the source of or as a value piece, right? And writing a LinkedIn article is one of the best things that you can do and the simplest things you can do to create content. Because again, if you're going to follow up on LinkedIn and you're going to provide access to some type of a value piece, why not keep them on the same platform? So write that article from the results that you're getting back from your survey or however else you want to structure that article, and drive them to that LinkedIn post. Number one, it sits on your profile. Number two, they don't have to click away from LinkedIn. It's a lot easier for them to do that. They can engage with it, they can like it, comment on it, share it. You can have calls to action within that article to drive them, of course, to your guide report or your value video or your appointment page or whatever it might be. It's just a really, really effective way to do this. And then it's really just about rinse and repeat. And you can see here that everything that's on here is not meant to be do all of this all at once. It's meant to be do one thing at a time. So that's the other reference that we talk about with the solo funnel. So the solo funnel, of course, is for solopreneurs, but it's also referencing the fact that you only need one funnel at a time, okay? Work your way up to these more complicated ones, like webinars, like books, like live events. They're complicated. There's a lot of steps to them. And we support our students and our clients through those, but we always start with simple. Get some conversations going. Now that leads me to the last part, which is convert. Now convert is pretty obvious, right? It's like get them to join a community, get them to opt in with an email, get them to fill out an application, get them to book a meeting, get them to register for an event, whatever the conversion is from those different authority campaigns we talked about. And then of course your goal should be to get that person on a phone call, or to drive them to an order form, if that is relevant and an appropriate thing for you to do with what you are selling. But in most cases, especially with solopreneurs that are selling business-to-business services, you're going to likely sell those services over the phone. So whether you're a consultant, a coach, or a speaker, you need to talk to these people, right? You want to connect on a one-to-one level. You want to exchange value. You want to do all these things we talk about in the MVP method. And phone sales is something that is critical for you to get good at. And a lot of times people clam up and they get scared about phone sales. But if you think about it from an enrollment perspective, where you're collecting information, you're finding out pain points, you're illuminating that pain point without, trying to manipulate that person, but instead show them how you can help them relieve some of the pain that they have through the solutions that you have to offer, and you really get good at selling on the phone, your business is going to take off. And you have to do this over and over again. You got to test it. You got to try. You got to get on enough phone calls, right? It's like riding a bike. First time, you're not very good at it. Eventually, you start to get it, and then it becomes second nature to you. And that ultimately will lead to more clients, okay? Following this exact process, using LinkedIn as your lead source, defining and creating those authority pages that have the elements that you need on them in order to convert to a phone call or to an email opt-in or to an event registration or whatever it might be. And here's just a handful of the tools that we use personally, as well as ones that we recommend all of our students in our Expert Selling Machine mentoring program use as well. And you can see all of these are linked up as well. I'm not going to go through them in detail, but Wistia is great for video hosting, very inexpensive. In fact, there's a free version of it when you first get started to have a nice professional video player. Zoom, of course, is great for hosting meetings, for even doing internal webinars or info sessions, or public ones for that matter. Stripe is a great payment processor where you can connect to a credit card, a merchant account, essentially connect it to your bank account, collect that money, right? Upwork is a great place to be able to find freelancers if you know exactly how to go and find them, screen them, hire them, train them, manage them, all that kind of stuff. And of course, we do this with our students in our program. We have a whole database of amazing freelancers that we work with that we recommend to all of our students, and in some cases we even include that in the fees that they pay to be a part of our mentoring program. ClickFunnels, an amazing tool to be able to build landing pages, squeeze pages, funnels, build out your funnels, do split testing, all these different things. It's a really solid tool to be able to do all that. Webinar Jam is great for live webinars. That's the one that we use for all of our stuff. And of course, we also have the EverWebinar tool, which is part of that. You can easily push live webinars to Evergreen, really slick that way. Calendly is the event service, the booking tool that we use, as well as recommend to our students. Very inexpensive again. Again, they have a free version, and it allows you to give your booking calendar out to somebody and then book time on your calendar. It just creates ease without that back and forth of like, oh yeah, why don't we meet? Let's meet on Friday. Oh geez, I got my kids' soccer practice on Friday. What about next Monday? Oh, I'm taking Monday off. Like, let's eliminate all that. Get a booking calendar in place. Calendly is a great solution for that. And then lastly is Pipedrive. So as we start to build out our sales pipeline, of course, we're tracking everything along the way from connection requests to messages sent, messages responded to. When opportunities come up, we're pulling those out of the tracking tools or the spreadsheet that we have, and we're putting it into Pipedrive because it's a much more efficient tool to be able to manage that sales pipeline of people that have put their hand up saying, yeah, I'm kind of interested in staying in touch. I want to know more about what you have to offer. So that is the entirety of the solo funnel featuring the missing link. And you can see here, again, it's step by step by step. Start one thing at a time. Don't go to the most complicated thing. This is a very common mistake that I see, especially with webinars. You don't need to start with a webinar. You don't need a brand new website. You don't need to host a live event. You don't need to write a book to be able to be positioned as an authority and to land new clients. You just need to do one thing at a time and leverage the #1 tool for business-to-business networking, LinkedIn. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. You're going to see a link around this video where you can go ahead and get a copy of this. And of course, we do info sessions and webinars and all kinds of stuff around this topic where we expand on this and we talk in even more detail and show examples of all the scripts. And again, you'll find out more information on that somewhere around this video. So thanks for watching. Take care and best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.